Welcome to the Solid Verbal.
The Solid Verbal.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
I've heard so many players say, well, I want to be happy. You want to be happy for a day? Eat a steak.
It's that woo-woo!
And now, Dan and Ty.
Welcome back to the Solid Verbal, boys and girls. Ty Hildenbrandt here, Dan Rubenstein over there. solidverbal@gmail.com, as always, is our email address. Drop us a line. You can also give us a phone call on this college football week 12 at 408-VERBAL-1. That's 408-837-2251. That's the reverb line. We do our best to cut up all your voice messages and put them into a neat little segment crafted by our good friend Taylor over at Talkin' Terps. You can also find us on Twitter and Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all those cool places, in addition to itunes.com/solidverbal if you'd like to subscribe. Dan, how are you?
Ty, I have been better, but I use these words as advice to myself. I'm going to use them to you as well. Do not let the world dim my sight. Don't, Ty, let a moment go by. Nothing can stop us tonight.
Is this a song? What is this?
Bailamos.
Is that Enrique Iglesias?
Let the rhythm take you over, Bailamos.
Wow. Deep cut.
Yeah, it felt appropriate. Nothing can stop us tonight. We're going to let some moments go by. I'm going to say that right up front. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty good, Ty. I'm feeling pretty good.
All right, let's start where we always start. We have breaking news!
Boop, 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 boop.
College football playoffs. That's right, playoffs. We've got updated rankings.
Mm-hmm.
Bama is 1, as everyone predicted. Ohio State is 2, as most people predicted. Then comes Michigan, then comes Clemson. So your top 4 is Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, and Clemson. They are followed in close proximity by Louisville at 5, Washington at 6, Wisconsin, Penn State, Oklahoma, and Colorado to round out the top 10, Dan. Any thoughts here on what we see now as we enter week 12?
Everybody controls their own destiny, which is sort of true. I don't know. Everybody. Alabama controls its own destiny. No, it wasn't all that shocking, a top 4 and top 5. I don't think Louisville should have been ahead of Clemson, a team they lost to. Michigan staying in the top 4 is, I guess, to be expected. It's a tougher way to lose than what Clemson did, losing to Pitt at home, Michigan losing on the road. I know West Virginia fans are feeling particularly slighted.
Yeah, how about that? 14th, are they?
They are 14th, so they are behind 3-loss USC.
Wow.
They're behind 2-loss Wisconsin, Penn State, Oklahoma, Colorado, Oklahoma State, Utah. So West Virginia having no top 25 per the playoff rankings wins at this moment, which I believe was the explanation from Kirby Hocutt. But I still believe West Virginia, if they're able to take care of business, I believe they have Oklahoma and Baylor left. They will find themselves in a conversation at 11-1. Unfortunately, no championship game, coupled with a lot of their early schedule not really working out all that well, was not ideal for the ears. But Colorado at 10 feels about right. The Stanford win, now that Stanford's ranked. I mean, this is the time of year where we're getting a lot of teams that are becoming ranked for the benefit of higher teams can now say that they've beat a ranked team, it feels like.
Sure.
Tennessee, that huge win over Kentucky, vaulting them at least 6 spots to number 19. So, mostly at peace with it. I'm curious about what the Big Ten final draw to the playoff looks like.
Yeah, well,
I'm curious about Oklahoma.
Yeah, I think Oklahoma's got a lot of upward mobility, and I caution people against writing off Oklahoma when we did our show on Sunday. I think they've got room to grow here. It wouldn't surprise me if they jumped both Penn State and Wisconsin before all was said and done, and really eke their way closer to that top 5. I don't think they're going to make the playoff, but they are going to keep going up provided they keep winning. I was taken a little bit by how the committee seemed to treat Washington's resume, because we had, remember, Michigan, Clemson, and Washington all lose. They give the nod to both Michigan and Clemson. and I think look at Washington's resume, and they determined it wasn't as strong as those other two teams. Therefore, they were going to drop them a little further. So again, truthfully, it's all going to change next week and the week after, and the rankings will probably look much differently in a couple weeks before all is said and done. So it's just food for thought at this point. Some really fascinating commentary, though, online about expanding this thing to 8 teams at some point in the future. Right. All hypotheticals. Every college football fan who is somewhat knowledgeable looked at the system when it was unveiled and said, eventually it's probably going to be 8 teams, at least more than 4 teams. The common argument has been that if you expand to 8 teams, you're going to diminish the value of the regular season. And I can't say I totally disagree with that perspective. I think it's practical to say that. Mm-hmm. Stuart Mandel, though, our friend, who I think has made this argument in the past, had a really interesting tidbit on his mailbag this week. And he said what's actually gone on this year, as opposed to the conventional wisdom that the field is going to narrow itself as they play more and more meaningful games, in light of last week, the field has actually widened a little bit.
Yeah.
It's actually widened a little bit, which flies in the face of conventional wisdom and maybe gives some oxygen to the whole fire that we should expand this thing to 8. We'll have to wait and see how it shakes out and who gets left out and who doesn't. But I just found that interesting. And, if anything, this system continues to find ways to keep us talking and surprised.
Yeah, I'm curious to see at the end of the season, because we could have a number of extremely high-quality non-conference winners. We could have Louisville not win the ACC and have, depending on what happens this week, we're recording this show Wednesday evening, depending on what happens this week, have a very strong argument that they're one of the best 4 teams in the country. We have Wisconsin and Penn State looking to be in the driver's seat for a Big Ten championship game at the moment because of Michigan's injury to Wilton Speight, which I suppose we'll get to. Within the context of this, we should say Wilton Speight is out for the year. The number 3 team is down their starting quarterback.
Yeah.
And that's certainly, to a pretty great extent, that will affect Michigan and what they're going to do this week and moving forward. We have Washington State at 22?
22.
Washington State is at 22. They could potentially beat a top 10 Colorado and a top 10 Washington in the coming weeks, and a top, right now, 15, top 13 USC in the conference championship game. And what is the argument that a Pac-12 2-loss champion shouldn't be in with those wins, but say Wisconsin should be? That's when it becomes difficult.
Yeah.
And so, I think you're right. I think Stu's right that it's a much more wide open field as it appears now. And I also think if we go to, I'm sort of in favor of going to 6 teams. I like the incremental increase and to see how it works out. But I think there will be increased interest when you go to 6 teams. I think there are even more teams in play at this point. And the thing that becomes an issue then, though, is how many games is too many games. These are still college kids, and I'd be perfectly fine with either moving away from certain conference championship games or just everybody plays 8 conference games and 3 non-conference games. Our friend Andy Staples has long maintained the 12th game has been a cash grab, and sort of reorganize the way we think about college football scheduling. Yeah,
and look, I'm not really advocating for 6 or 8 or 16 or anything, but it's an interesting discussion to have.
And then the chaos becomes what happens if Jalen Hurts, we don't want this to happen, gets hurt against, I don't know, Auburn, and they lose to Tennessee in the SEC championship game.
Yeah.
What do you do then? I mean,
who knows?
There's a lot that is still left to happen.
Okay. Wilton Speight, you mentioned him. Done for the year with a broken collarbone. Jim Harbaugh's been a bit coy in coming out and saying this, but most people have reported at this point that he's got the collarbone injury. He's done for the year. This is a pretty big hit to Michigan. They've got that big game coming up in 2 weeks against Ohio State. Not to say that quarterback was the strength of their offense. Clearly that is with the running game. But Wilton Speight's been pretty good most of the season, to now have to put John O'Corn in there, who hasn't played much this season.
But has played college football.
Yeah. I don't see how you could look at this and feel excited about Michigan's chances now.
Yeah, I think that's right. I would still maintain that Michigan's ability to play defense rivals just about anybody's ability to do anything on the field this season, at least from what we've seen thus far. So they will have a chance against, I would assume, everybody with that defense. So I'm not willing to fully write them off yet, but it does look tough going against a decent enough Indiana team who almost pulled off a Penn State upset last week, and then having to go to Columbus against an Ohio State team that's peaking at the right time. The challenge is much higher right now for Michigan, but they've run the ball relatively well. They have thrown it pretty well against the lesser teams that they've played. They struggled against Wisconsin. I imagine they're going to struggle some against Ohio State, but not fully willing to write off Michigan quite yet. Because they do have, 3 top 10 wins at this point?
They do.
Wisconsin, Penn State, and Colorado.
Yeah.
So it was more than just Wilton Spate that won those games.
That Colorado win is looking better and better. We didn't know it at the time, but it's looking better and better. Mm-hmm. The final bullet point I have here. Did you see this news tidbit about former players coming back and taking part on practice squads?
Been a thing for a bit now, yeah.
What we haven't talked about it on the show. Mm-hmm. This feels really weird to me. Brian Kelly, I believe, was the one who said that it doesn't feel like it's college football. And I'm sure quoting or referencing Brian Kelly on any show in any capacity is like a thing. People don't want to hear that, but I kind of agree with them. How do you feel about this? Do you have an issue with this?
I did not naturally get upset when I saw. I know Blake Sims came in, and was he Trevor Knight? I think that's who he played in the scout week for Alabama a few weeks ago. And Trent Richardson scouted as Leonard Fournette. The scout teams exist to be largely tackling dummies, right? I get that. It's not like they are taking away valuable reps from somebody learning an offense. The scout team is running the offense and defense of another team. So I understand it. It's sort of a cool thing, especially if you have recruits visiting, unofficial visits on campus. They're at practice and Trent Richardson's there, or whoever is there, a big name. Do you see Urban Meyer react to the news in a press conference?
Yeah.
He had no idea.
An interesting facial expression.
He's like, what? That's a thing? Huh. Whoa. I did not know that. I don't know unless a current player is wounded by trying to tackle somebody like Trent Richardson. And I'm not all that worried about Trent Richardson making the right cuts at this point in an offense. But unless something like that happens, I guess I'm fine with it. It seems unnecessary, but all right. Maybe if it helps, go for it.
It feels a little shady to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
These guys were part of the team. Their eligibility has expired. There are plenty of kids, I'm sure, who at Alabama or wherever would love to take part in those scouting drills.
I think Marshawn Lynch did it for Cal, right?
Yeah, even with full working knowledge that they're not going to play. I just feel like the team is the team, and to bring guys in from the outside whose eligibility has expired at this point, it's just, I don't know. It may be within the letter of the law, but to me, it just feels shady. This is still college.
I got nowhere else to go.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. That's all I got in terms of news, Dan.
I would also add, it's sort of sad that Washington will be without their star linebacker, certainly all conference, if not greater, Azim Victor, who was out early in that USC game.
I saw that.
Now Washington, is down their best 2 defenders, and especially closing out the year in the Apple Cup, I would imagine Mike Leach and that offense will be picking on the middle of the field quite a bit. Other than that, just good vibes also in the Pacific Northwest, because that's where I went to school. Oregon State receiver Seth Collins. Really scary rush to the hospital, I think, with, and I hope I'm not incorrect here, some sort of meningococcal situation, meningitis. And that's very scary and very serious. And I hope everything turns out all right for him and the Oregon State Beavers.
Definitely. That's scary. Okay. We must move on.
Yes.
Dan, time, help. I need picks of the week.
So it's week 12. We talked a lot last Wednesday about how it's always the tame-looking weeks that get you. Mm-hmm. And it did. Last week it did. 5 teams in the top 10 lost. 8 in the top 25 went down. This is another sleepy-looking week.
Yeah.
So much so that I had a hard time just figuring out what games had interesting storylines, because that's what we try to do. We talked about it earlier in the year. Try to look. We find the games between ranked opponents, ones that have interesting storylines. Those are the ones that we talk the most about. I couldn't find a whole lot of those this week. I found 4. We're going to talk about more than just 4, of course, but 4 big ones that we're going to spotlight here. Naturally, I'm interpreting that to mean that this is going to be another week where a bunch of stuff breaks. Does that seem like a fair conclusion to you?
So it's sort of like the baby from The Incredibles.
Right.
Cute
sure.
and docile, and then it explodes in flames. Yeah, that seems right. I think there's a good enough slate. We have another Fun Belt, a good one in Arkansas State, Troy. The Troy App State game was very good last week. I think you have to dig a little bit, but I think there's some quality entertainment on the slate. Sure.
1 p.m. on SEC Network, Dan. LSU at home now, a 13.5-point favorite against visiting Florida. You may recall that this was supposed to be a much different week. These teams are playing on Saturday after their original matchup from earlier this year. It was rescheduled due to Hurricane Matthew. LSU was going to play South Alabama. Florida was going to play Presbyterian. Florida still sounds a little grumpy about the way this whole thing turned out, and it's a shame that a hurricane's going to rob us of some historic rivalries against South Alabama and Presbyterian, but it's a brave new world, Dan. We've got this game taking place on Saturday, 1 p.m. in Death Valley.
Yeah.
My gut says that LSU's better here. And I think in the rare glimpses we've gotten to see Florida outside the great state of Florida, they're 0-2.
It is rare.
My gut instinct here is to take LSU, even though it's a big point spread and it's at home.
Yeah. Let's go back to that gut of yours, Ty. Just really, off the top of your head, really just answer as quickly as you possibly can. Better to play against Darius Geis and Leonard Fournette, healthy or unhealthy defensively? Healthy or unhealthy, Ty? Give me the gut.
Healthy.
Okay. I would say so as well. Florida is very much not healthy on defense, all over the place, and it is unfortunate, even though as deep and talented as they are, to play against this LSU offense in a thin fashion is not all that great. And Florida's own offense is below average. They've struggled to run the ball consistently, certainly throwing the ball consistently with that Luke Del Rio, Austin Appleby mega combo. Mega combo.
I'm going to pull that clip.
Yeah.
Good
Sunday, Luke Del Rio. I'm really trying as hard as I can, Ty. LSU is in an emotional spot because they could beat a big-time program at home. I mean, it's in the afternoon, so it's not going to be as crazy in Death Valley, but a large part of this team is behind Ed Orgeron and his quest to get this job outright. And we saw it at USC with his attempt, and USC in a sort of, we saw Dabo Swinney get the job at Clemson, but it's not always the case where an assistant ascends to the head coaching job from an interim basis after the coach is let go. And LSU is certainly a huge job. Where do you stand? Because I think LSU could be playing hard, and if it's 24-10 late, maybe they leave their starters in for an extra series for an exclamation point to give a huge win to Ed Orgeron, a 31-10 type win. Where do you stand on Ed Orgeron? I have LSU winning by 3 touchdowns, 34-13.
Okay, so you're all in on LSU. I'm going to go in a different direction because I'm still doing the Seinfeld
If every
thing.
instinct you have is wrong, then the opposite would have to be right.
You know what I mean? I'm going the whole opposite day thing still. It worked out really well for me last week when I did it with our featured game. So I will get to that in a second. I think Ed Orgeron's done a great job.
Yeah.
And we know that the guy can recruit. He certainly has tapped into something offensively that wasn't there before under Les Miles. I think he sticks around.
He did score 0 points against Alabama, mind you.
He did score 0 points.
Yeah.
But Alabama only scored 10.
Correct.
This wasn't exactly some sort of shootout. So I don't know. I feel like he's done a good enough job. I feel like they want to keep him. And honestly, he's the one who wants the job the most. Sometimes there's some value in reaching out to that guy.
Yeah.
So I think it sometimes can work out well, and I think it will here. I expect him to be the full-time coach here, provided things don't fully break down. This is an interesting game, though, and I'm still going to do the opposite thing because it worked well last week, and truthfully, I've got nothing else to root for, Notre Dame's out of it. Penn State isn't a total loss. That's still exciting. But
Right.
I think if you are an enterprising individual, as I am, of course, you could make the case that LSU either goes into a shell against a good defense or against all good defenses, or maybe just doesn't have that great of an offense. Despite the fact that Eddie O has tapped into something and made them better offensively, it could just be that they're not well balanced enough and that they're not that good against better defenses. Wisconsin and Auburn are two classic examples. Granted, both were part of the Les Miles era of things, but both were really underwhelming performances on offense, 14 and 13 points. 2 weeks ago, you mentioned the shutout against Alabama. Worth noting.
Yep.
Florida's offense is pedestrian. They're not going to score a ton of points. But 13.5 points as a point spread in a game that could be played pretty close to the vest on both sides. I'm going to take those points, Dan. I'm going to go against my gut. I'm going to take the points. I hear what you're saying, that they might go out there with more vim and vigor and try to get it for Coach O. But I just feel like this is one of those games. It's going to be a long slog with a lot of rushing attempts.
So you think like 14-13? Something like that?
I think there'll be more points than that. But 21-14, something in that vein could be definitely in the cards here. So I'm going to take Florida plus the points. I think LSU wins, but I think it's close.
I'd really, really, really like to see Ed Orgeron get the job.
Me
That's
too.
not to say
Me too.
I think he's going to, but I'd like to see him. I'd like to believe that he has improved, he has grown, he's matured since his time at Ole Miss as a full-time, non-interim head coach. Remember, he coached under Pete Carroll, so certainly he has the enthusiasm gene from his time at USC, his original stint at USC. He's coached around at big schools, so now we have Ole Miss, Tennessee, USC, LSU recently. So you would imagine that his network of assistants is somewhat impressive that he could bring in. And it's not like he is going to be calling offensive plays or calling defensive plays. To be reductive, it's recruiting, it's glad handing, it's clock management, it's keeping the team inspired, keeping the team focused, keeping assistants focused. And it appears that he has done a very good job of those things in tough spots, both at USC and LSU. And the fact that he's from there, the fact that he can recruit like crazy, I would like to see it. The Jimbo thing is interesting to me because of his history there. It sounds like if LSU meets his demands, according to the report, that Jimbo could be coming there. Is there a school tie? And we'll get back to the games, but this is just what I was wondering, if there aren't too many games to deep dive. Is there a recent A-list top-tier school that has succeeded relatively quickly in bringing in a big coach from another big school over to a new job and it working out really quickly? Because right now, does it exist? I know Urban Meyer from Utah, Florida,
would be the one.
Was a jump.
He had the gap year, yeah.
I'm saying right away, like if Jimbo were to leave Florida State in December and go to Baton Rouge. So Nick Saban was in the NFL. Dabo Swinney was interim at Clemson, so he didn't come from another place to that job.
Jim Harbaugh came from the NFL.
Jim Harbaugh, NFL. And we talked about the gap year with Urban Meyer. In the Pac-12, it was Jim Mora not working in college, going to UCLA. USC was Clay Helton interim. Texas was, I guess, it's the shift, but they're not particularly successful doing it, from Louisville to Texas. Texas A&M was certainly a jump for Kevin Sumlin. I'd be very curious to see that transition because I don't think we've seen it recently get pulled off successfully. Maybe I'm wrong.
The question I have pertaining to LSU, let's say that Texas decides they want to keep Charlie Strong and LSU decides that Coach O is checking all the boxes for them. Is Tom Herman going anywhere or is he staying at Houston?
Oregon,
oh boy, here we go. Here we go.
On and on.
You're taking LSU by 3 touchdowns. I'm taking Florida plus the points in a close game.
I feel like that was not too pitchy.
No, it was fine.
I feel that was a pretty good rendition. Okay.
Moving on. 3:30 on Fox.
Yeah.
This one between Colorado and Washington State. Colorado is a 4.5-point home favorite. Back in September, I remember looking at this week, Dan, and saying, wow, we've got Ohio State, Michigan State. We've got Oklahoma State, TCU, and USC, UCLA, and Louisville, Houston. All these monster games, right?
Uh-huh.
And now here we are on a Wednesday before, And we're going to devote as much time, if not more, to Colorado, Washington State than all of them.
Yeah.
There's no doubt that we're living in a different world nowadays, but this is something that nobody
Hey, man.
saw coming.
We're all looking for signs of the apocalypse, and they're coming fast and furiously, Ty. They are coming fast. The laughing only serves to not cry. So this game is weird. Do you have an early lean in this game?
My initial read was Washington State, which means that I'm going to go Colorado.
Right. So we have arguably the most efficient offense in the conference right now in Washington State.
Yep.
Against arguably the most efficient defense in Colorado at home. The best three defenses that Colorado has played, so their offense in the Pac-12. So that would be, I believe, USC, UCLA, and Stanford. The best three defenses Colorado has faced. They scored 10, 20, and 17 points in those games. That's 15 points a game. So it seems like if Colorado is going to win this game, it's going to be low scoring.
Agreed.
The weird thing about this game, also on the Wazoo side, is recently they've been sort of a garbage road team. They at ASU, who is, you can make a very clear argument that Arizona State is the worst team in the Pac-12. They won by 4. At Oregon State, how many did they win by? Another 4-point win. So they, as good as Washington State is, and they're Power 5 undefeated, never forget that, Ty. They do not distance themselves all that well on the road, at least not recently. I'm going to go 27-24 Colorado. I think it's going to be secretly a little bit higher scoring than we think. I think Colorado can get going, but
okay.
I guess I don't have Colorado covering if I have them winning by 3, if it's a 3.5 point spread. So give me the road dogs.
Yeah, it's up to 4.5. When I put the sheet together, it was 3.5, but now a little steam on Colorado. My initial read was Washington State, that they come in, they overpower Colorado with the offense, and it dawned on me that it's not even that I've got a bad gut instinct or that I'm unlucky. I just think that's a bad read in general. It's a warning sign whenever you're kind of swayed by how a team played last year or 2 years ago. And I feel like for me, when I looked at this matchup, that's what happened a little bit. Colorado has, for the last 5 years, been pure garbage. Mm-hmm. And to now look at them in a big game, I'm just influenced by that. But you look at what they've done. You mentioned defense. It's actually been pretty good. It's been pretty good. Bill Connolly in the S&P Plus has them 9th overall in defense. And our metrics,
they've been very good.
Our metrics, again, we look at things like passer rating allowed, yards per carry allowed, things like that. But against the pass, they're top 10.
Oh, yeah.
They're top 10. And that's going to serve them pretty well against an air raid opponent. You got a good defense. I really like
Colorado's corners, yeah.
You got a good defense against an air raid style team like Washington State. I think that bodes pretty well for you. Mm-hmm. Offensively, this is a really good opportunity for Sefo Lufau as well.
Sefo Lufau, yeah.
He might not put up video game numbers here, but he spreads the ball around really well. If you look at the dispersion of targets so far this season, he's got like 5 guys with equal opportunities so far on that receiving core. He looked sharp as hell last week, and I'm just going to go against the gut instinct. I'm going to say Colorado. I'm going to say they look sharp at home. Maybe a closer game for a while, but I am going to take them. I think they win this one at home. I think they cover, and I'm going to lock it up.
Wow.
Lock of the week.
Getting a little ballsy with it here, but I fear the Buffs, man. I fear the Buffs. And I'm doing this one for our good friend Rich out in Boulder.
I love Rich Orman.
Who's been listening to the show forever, who I think called us or emailed us that he could cry. He's so happy about the way this season has gone. I am pumped that we get to give this game some love.
Yeah.
I really, truly am. 2 great underdog stories. By the way, this is the reason why, for anyone wondering, it's games like this, it's 2 stories like this, why college football ratings have held steady and the NFLs have dropped.
Yeah.
There are no underdog stories like this in the NFL anymore. They've like genetically altered it so that there aren't any stories like this. There's no individuality. There's nothing like that. College football, we could argue about whether or not they're ripping off the labor or not. But that aside, college football at least still has that personality and these underdog stories. And I'm excited to watch this game.
Yeah, I'm quite excited to watch this. Also, a lot of people with their own think pieces about why the NFL's ratings are down. And I look at every single reason people mention and list, and I think, yep, that's right. Yep, that's right too. Yep, that makes sense. I think it might just be that the NFL is bad.
That too.
That's all it is. Yeah.
All right, let's pay some bills.
Yep.
Daniel, when it comes to magazines,
I'm listening.
you know what you like. You know what you like. With Texture, you can get all the magazines you want in one super convenient place. Now, we've done plenty of ads for Texture before. I've talked about it time and time again. I've used it. I know you have on the train into your day job. The Texture app is a cool thing. Basically, it lets you tap into all the world's most popular magazines anytime, anywhere, using your smartphone or tablet. Literally hundreds of favorite magazines that you can pick from, including back issues. You can even go in and pick articles that interest you the most. They make it so easy to find the stuff that you care about. All right, so you don't just got to go to read Sports Illustrated or Wired. The Texture editorial team can recommend content for you every day. And if you want, you can dive deeper in with some personalized collections if you further want to tailor your reading experience. So it literally is like Netflix, like binge anything, but only for magazine content. And it's really cool because there's a lot of cool magazines out there. You can sign up for Texture right now and get insider access to all the content from the world's best publications. And the best part is they're going to give you a free trial now. If you go to texture.com/solid, that's texture.com/solid, immediate access to all the top magazines out there, including back issues and bonus video content. You can binge read for free right now and try it out at Texture. That's texture.com/solid, texture.com/solid. Really cool app, really cool service. Do it digital. Read all the stuff that you think is cool. Check out Texture.
This is offline. Ty always is telling me, I got the Texture going and Men's Health always up there, and I'm always hammering these abs. I'm always hammering these abs because of Texture. I'm like, Ty, that's great for you. He's like, no, you need to see my core. And I was like, Ty, I get it, but Texture's the way.
I've talked to you about my core workout, the Tar Heels basketball workout with the medicine ball. Remember?
Ty has the best core of any podcaster. Period.
I'm thinking that may not be true, but I'm thinking of starting that workout back up.
Come at us, Dan Savage.
All right.
Yeah.
That awkward transition.
Here it is.
8 p.m. ABC, Oklahoma, a 2.5-point road favorite at night at West Virginia, Dan. Mm-hmm. My gut instinct here, speaking of cores, was to lock up Oklahoma. And the reason I feel that way is because they're playing so well on offense. Mm-hmm. And when they get it going on offense with all the toys they got, 2.5 or 3 or 3.5, whatever this ends up settling at, that just does not feel like enough points to deter me from picking them on the road. I like West Virginia. I think they got balance. Realistically, though, there is a chance that Oklahoma goes in there and just bombs them. Just bombs them.
Realistically? That's a thing?
Yes, that's a thing.
Okay.
I think they could go in there and just kill West Virginia.
Wow.
I thought about pulling back on my pledge here, and I'm still thinking about it.
Zero respect for our pal Rich Francis.
I know. I like Rich. Thank you, Rich, for your support. But legitimately now, I think there's a chance Oklahoma could destroy West Virginia.
Okay.
So much so that I was considering, I still am considering, pulling back on my pledge to bet against my initial gut instinct. So I just want to get that out there, because if I get this one wrong, I feel like it should still be half credit. Because I really feel strongly that Oklahoma's a good team. I think legitimately that they're going to beat West Virginia here. But I am going to go West Virginia. If we're going to do this, I'm going to do it right. And
okay.
I'm going to go. Let me ask you this, all right?
Yeah.
Does in your estimation, does West Virginia have the best defense in the Big 12?
Does West Virginia have the best defense in the Big 12? I think right now you actually might be able to make a case that TCU does. And I know that doesn't seem like it's the case with how they played against West Virginia, but I think it's one of those two teams. Though Oklahoma has come on strong after a pretty horrific opening, 5 or 6 weeks. Oklahoma's defense has gotten better. So I think, yeah, probably.
It's in the conversation, though, right?
Absolutely it is.
It's in the conversation. And we just have a horrible tendency, all of us do, to overlook good defenses in conferences that are dominated by offense. Because we look at the Big 12 or even the Pac-12 to some degree, and we see a conference dominated by offense, but defense is a big deal. And we can overlook it, but it's a big part of the reason why, maybe the reason why West Virginia is having such a good season so far this year. They're good enough on defense to batten the hatches when things get tough. Last week being a prime example, we talked about it on the review show, right? 4 turnovers on the road at Texas. Granted, they give up over 500 yards in total, but just 7 points were allowed off those turnovers. So you got that clutch defense. I think that can be a weapon here, and I think that's a big part of the reason why I like West Virginia at home. The other thing I'll mention very quickly, and then I'll turn it over to you because I want to spread this out evenly as we do on the show. West Virginia isn't as sexy running or passing as we've seen in the past, but they are really balanced, and their line's done a decent enough job protecting Skylar Howard. So I don't think it's like a situation where Oklahoma is going to be able to generate a whole lot of pressure. I like West Virginia. If I'm going to side with West Virginia here, I like them because I think their defense is good enough to hold down Oklahoma's offense, and I expect there to be plays in the passing game because I don't like Oklahoma's tendency to get pressure here, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. West Virginia has been struggling turning the ball over on offense against the better teams. Recently, I think it was 4 turnovers against Texas last week, and then 2 just backbreaking interceptions against Oklahoma State a few weeks ago. So that is worrisome, and that puts the defense, a very good defense, in some bad spots, but can still be very efficient. And they've turned to Kennedy McCoy and to a lesser extent Justin Crawford on the ground, and I like the depth that they've built at running back. And as I mentioned, Oklahoma's defense has gotten better over the course of the season, and the Charles Walker news doesn't necessarily make that better. Oklahoma loses a starter. I know he was already questionable with concussion type stuff, but he has left the team immediately to train for the NFL, so not a great hit for Oklahoma. And if I'm just going to go with my philosophy, home dog, raucous crowd at home, good defense, I'm going West Virginia.
Wow.
I'm going to simplify it and be reductive by that. 30-28 West Virginia.
30-28.
Yeah.
Yeah, that feels about right to me. The other thing I do want to mention,
it is a night game, right? It's an 8 p.m. game. Yeah.
8 p.m. ABC game. I've never fully recovered from the Landry Jones years at Oklahoma.
What does that mean?
Well, you'll remember, I think his sophomore, his junior year, they were favored in every road game. And every time it felt like a huge sucker bet to take them because they never covered on the road.
So we saw Oklahoma struggle to break away from Iowa State on the road a couple weeks ago. It was a weird Thursday night, no running backs. I get it. Just something to pay attention to.
I'm going to go against my better judgment, against my gut. And I'm going to take West Virginia outright. Good game. Good night game here. I think 35-31. Somewhere in that range.
Brother.
Okay. Let's
Luke Del Rio. Sorry.
Let's travel back in time.
Okay.
8 p.m. on Thursday. On Donnerstag, as the Germans would say.
Donnerstag?
Donnerstag. That's Thursday in German.
What a weird word.
Donnerstag on ESPN. We've got Louisville, a 14-point road favorite at Houston, Dan. Think back for a second, if I could indulge you. Think back to how big this game looked after Houston knocked off Oklahoma, opening week of the year.
Yeah, it looked enormous.
Think how much the plot has shifted since then. Just incredible.
It's a different story, but I think Houston will be up for this game. I don't think Houston is a team to write off.
On the count of 3, I want you to tell me gut instinct with the point spread in mind. Mm-hmm. Who does your gut tell you to pick here?
The spread once again is
14 points. 1,
2 touchdowns.
2, 3.
Houston.
Louisville.
Whoa.
Louisville is my gut instinct here, which means I'm going to go Houston.
Okay.
First instinct was that Houston is going to get killed. Just killed by Louisville. I don't think that's a crazy opinion either. Louisville's got a switch. We saw it a week ago. They didn't have it for like 3 quarters, and then they flipped it on in the fourth quarter and scored 34 and blew the doors off Wake. But, okay. Gut instinct is Louisville, which means the bat signal's up. Let's take another look at this thing.
Okay.
What are you watching for here on the Houston side? What's going to be the early tell for you to determine whether or not Houston can keep this one close?
By the way, I just Google translated strong stomach because of your core. And in German, it's stark in Magen.
Stark and Magen. That sounds right.
That sounds right. Okay. What do I like about Louisville? What do I like about this game? What do I like about the matchup? I like that Louisville plays up to their opponents and up to the stage and platform on which they're playing. I like the way they're able to finish out games against lesser teams. Not that Houston's a lesser team. I like how complete they are. Their defense has been very, very good this year. Brandon Radcliffe has run the ball very well. Lamar Jackson appears to be the clear Heisman talent. And I like the fact that they are pretty elite espionage-wise. Louisville is able to steal state secrets. So Louisville has probably had a plant in the Houston office for quite some time. Okay. And you can't look past the ability to know every play.
The Louisville prism is far-reaching and very insidious.
I like Houston here. I like, again, if I'm going with a good defense at home in a big spot, I think the crowd's going to be going crazy on a Thursday night. I think the defense was built to stop a team like Louisville. It's, the games that they've lost, the SMU game and the Navy game weren't great, but Louisville's going to be a little bit more balanced, I would assume. And I do like Houston. The thing that is worrisome about picking Houston later on in the season is they just don't have the depth of talent that other teams like Louisville have. And so they're going to be a little bit more dinged up and playing at somewhat of a disadvantage. And that it goes for Greg Ward or Gary Ward, our guy. I think Houston is going to play really, really well in this game. I don't think they're going to have enough to finish it out. But I think 14 points is too many. So I'm going to go here.
I agree.
I'm going to say 34-27 Louisville.
I'm really uneasy about this game, to be honest. I'm uneasy taking Houston here. But you're right. They're pretty good on defense. I think they're good enough that they shouldn't get blown out here, despite the fact that Louisville is a great offense with a ton of firepower. I trust that Tom Herman's going to have some plan of attack here on both sides of the football. You mentioned Gary/Greg Ward Jr. He is nicked up, and that's worth mentioning. He had a bum shoulder all year. Yeah. He's still nursing something with his ankle now. That's an issue. And secondly, it kind of feels like that Houston loss to Navy took some wind out of their sails. In the month since they lost that game, they've lost to SMU. They've played a few other games where it seems as if they've played down to their opponent. Now, I don't know how much we can project from that onto this game, because this is like a de facto national championship for them. This is everything. This game means way more to them than I think we could put into words. So I expect they'll be up for this game. I don't expect them to play down or up. I just think they'll be pretty solid across the board. I think Louisville wins. I think Louisville's a better team. Louisville has very gradually gotten better on defense as well. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say 38-31. Louisville wins.
Okay, bit of a shootout.
We agree. We do agree. Okay, some other games here that we need to mention. I'm going to effectively cease the opposite portion of this show. I'm going to do a little A/B testing. Okay. Those 4 games, the opposite of my initial gut. And now let's talk about some other games here. Let's go to 12 p.m. on Saturday. Kansas State on the road, a 2-point favorite now at Baylor. First read here is got to be K-State. Gotta be K-State. Okay. Feels to me like the wheels are off at Baylor, and now Seth Russell's out, and he was kind of a stabilizing force. Give me one reason why I shouldn't take K-State and why I shouldn't lock up K-State -2.
K-State's defense has been secretly pretty bad this year. And Baylor, as we saw last year, even with quarterback injuries, they have an ability, Kendall Briles, to get creative offensively. If this team can get itself together after looking like the wheels have come off these past couple weeks, it's at home. They can get creative on offense. Zach Smith looked inconsistent, but looks like he has some playmaking ability. And to beat Kansas State this year, you don't need to be playing to your ceiling.
Okay. I won't lock it up, but I'm going to go K-State.
Okay. I'm going to go Baylor.
12 p.m. Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
Minus 3 touchdowns on the road at Michigan State, Dan. Michigan State. They won 49-0 last week against Rutgers. Any upset potential here?
No.
No.
But is there potential for Michigan State covering because Ohio State doesn't want to leave their starters in when they have Michigan a week later?
Potentially.
I think that's not the worst thing to consider, that Ohio State takes its foot off the gas, maybe middle of the third quarter, up 28 or something like that. We get a backdoor cover. So I'm going to take Michigan State. I'm going to take those points.
I'm going to go backdoor cover as well. And what I've been trying to resolve here all week is why the line is 21 when it feels like Ohio State should win by about 42.
Right.
Why is it so low? I'm going to go backdoor cover. Let's go Michigan State. Another high noon and nooner, as it were, between Oklahoma State and TCU. Good matchup here. TCU minus 4.5. I don't really understand this point spread, Dan.
Why is that?
I don't know, TCU is dead to me.
What?
They were a playoff team to me earlier in the year. Now they're dead to me.
It's not their fault that your prediction didn't come true.
It kind of is.
I guess it sort of is.
It kind of is, yeah. S&P Plus still has TCU as a top 25 team. They've got 4 losses, but S&P doesn't look at that. They're saying they're a top 25 team. I'm going to go ahead and assume that Vegas knows more than I do, which of course they do. Yeah. I'm going to lay the points here. I think TCU can run it. Their defense, you're right, they've played pretty well, especially over these last 2 weeks against Texas Tech and Baylor, 2 really good offensive teams. So I'm going to take TCU at home, lay the points against Oklahoma State. I think they win outright.
So Oklahoma State needs a missed extra point to beat an average Big 12 team last week at home. And TCU is coming off a bye and has a good defense, and they are themselves playing at home. I'm going to go with TCU here to win by a touchdown. I think it's a bit of an LRO situation for Oklahoma State, who survived that Kansas State game, who survives Texas Tech, who used turnovers and took advantage against West Virginia, they only beat Iowa State by a touchdown. They survived that game. I'm gonna go with LRO Oklahoma State, and I'm gonna take TCU. I think they win by a touchdown. Let's call it 31-24.
12:30. Miami minus 3 on the road at NC State.
Why is this game here? Is this a mistake?
It's kind of a mistake. I jotted this game down on my notepad with no actual notes, and I said it feels like a coin flip. I'm actually going to flip a coin on air here. High drama.
That. No, this is very real.
I'm going to say heads, I take Miami minus 3. Tails, I go NC State plus 3 at home. All right, here we go. Tails, let's go NC State plus 3.
All right, I'm going to go with Miami just because I'm going to go against my gut. Miami feels like this year's Georgia Tech, where you keep thinking this is the week and then it's not, and then you keep thinking it's not the week and then it is. So I'm going to go with the U on the road. NC State, they've been clobbered a bit this year.
All right, I put this one on just because it's cool that game day is going to Kalamazoo. It's not what I would consider a hotly contested matchup here, but 3:30 Buffalo at Western Michigan. Western Michigan, a 34-point favorite, Dan. I'm going to take Buffalo, and here's why. A lot of pressure with game day coming into town. I don't know if they can row that boat out to like a 35-point victory. So I'm going to take the point. That's a lot of points here. A lot of pressure. Western Michigan wins big, but not by 35.
Did it surprise you at all that Boise State was higher than Western Michigan
a little
in
bit.
the rankings?
Yeah, a little bit.
Give the Broncos some more respect. Buffalo has 1 MAC win this year. Buffalo has 1. Buffalo has also lost 6 of 7. They beat Akron. I like Akron. But they give up a lot of points. So since giving up, and listen to this, Ty, 35 points to Boston College.
Whoa. Okay.
That's who Buffalo is.
Okay.
They lost 35-3 to BC. They gave up 44-31, 44-20 in the win, 34-35. And Western Michigan is better than all of these teams. So I think Western Michigan wins this game, unless there's some sort of weird letdown spot, getting angry. I don't know. I'm going to say like 47-13, 49-13.
Pressure cooker of college game day, Dan.
That's true. That is pressure.
We'll go points here. Points in Kalamazoo. All right. 3:30. Oh, God. Is this one a mistake? Did you put this one on?
I did not touch this time.
You put this one. I didn't put this one on. 3:30. Virginia Tech at Notre Dame.
Here we go.
So, okay, look. Notre Dame defense has been better. The headline, though, that I'm terrified to read, that I know I'm going to read somewhere, is that Brian Kelly got outcoached by Justin Fuente.
Fuente.
I am terrified of Gerard Evans in this game. He's been so good this season. I don't like Notre Dame against a dual threat guy. So I'm going to go Tech here outright to beat Notre Dame, to give them that dreaded loss number 7 and knock them from whatever crappy bowl game they were potentially staring down the barrel of.
Notre Dame trounced the United States Army.
They did.
One small university does not worry me. A technical university in the middle of nowhere.
You're a jerk.
In Western Virginia.
And you're going to lock this up too, aren't you? Just
the
be a jerk.
entire United States Army could not compete with the force that was the Irish.
I know this twinkle in your voice, and I hate you.
LOCKITUP. Lock it up.
Lock of the week.
I can't even say what I'm thinking right now, but
They go to USC. It's at USC, correct?
it's at USC. Yeah.
It's at USC.
They're going to
They
lose
go
that
to
game by
USC.
50.
Bowl eligibility on the line.
They're going
We're
to get
talking
crushed.
Brian Kelly boots on the line. I don't even know if they can still go to El Paso, but he'll take free boots. He's Brian Kelly.
He's
What
Brian
else is he
Kelly.
gonna get? Yeah, I think Notre Dame wins this game. Virginia Tech, sort of inconsistent at this point. It's in South Bend. It's in South Bend, correct?
It's
not
in
some
South
sort
Bend.
of weird
No, South
Notre
Bend.
Dame game in Toronto or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Notre Dame here by a touchdown.
Notre Dame off their road tour of Jacksonville and San Antonio, 2 classic college football venues. Okay. Back in South Bend.
35-28 Notre Dame.
3:30, Indiana at Michigan. Michigan minus 23 as we...
And a starting quarterback.
Yeah, and a starting quarterback. John O'Korn is going to be starting. They are now coming back home after the loss to Iowa. Kind of interested to see what happens here and whether or not Indiana's run defense can hold up. This is not a lockdown Indiana defense by any stretch, but we have been talking about all year how it's been a lot better this season. They're not going to go to Michigan and win this game, but it's not too far out of the realm of possibilities that they could go up there and present more of a defensive front than you've been accustomed to seeing in Indiana teams in years past, right? So I'm going to go points here. I'm going to go points. I believe with every fiber of my being here that Michigan's going to be able to grind and wear down Indiana by the time this one is said and done. But I feel like Indiana's good enough on offense with Richard Lego to make a few plays. I think they can keep it tight enough with their defense to not lose by 23.
I'm just thrilled to see Michigan finally playing a game in Ann Arbor. Finally. It seems like they've been gone forever. Yeah, I think I'm going to give the points. I think this is a spot in which Michigan emphatically makes a statement that they are still very much better than an average Big Ten team or even a pretty good Big Ten team in Indiana. I don't think they're going to ask John O'Korn to do all that much. They have a number of healthy running backs. I think they might be able to generate some points on defense. Hey, did we not see a team generate points on defense last week against Indiana? I believe we did.
Yep.
So that wouldn't be totally out of the blue. I'm going to go Michigan. I think they win by 4 touchdowns. I'm going to go 41-13.
Okay. 5:30, we've got Cal Stanford. Dan, Stanford on the road, a 10.5-point favorite. Just out of curiosity, what do we do in big rivalry games again?
I'm going to look this up. I'm going to Google this. I'm Googling this. I'm putting it into the search bar, and here we go. You got to throw those records out, Ty.
You throw those records out in a rivalry, Dan.
Yeah.
Throw them out. I'm throwing all mine out. You should throw yours out. Stanford's got a pretty good defense, but despite Cal being kind of shaky here, I am inclined to go points just because you throw the records out. The game's in Cal. Cal could score some points. I don't know. I don't have any great reasoning here. Stanford's the better team, but rivalry games are weird. Weird start time, 5:30. I don't know. Let's go Cal plus the points at home.
So the 4 best teams that Cal has played, Utah, USC, Washington, and Wazoo. And those are all in the Pac-12. And I know they played Texas. And I know they played San Diego State. Actually, San Diego State might be one of the better teams that they've played. But of the 4 best Pac-12 teams that they've played, those 4 teams, do you have a favorite game in which they have scored 30 points? Hi.
No.
They did not score 30 points in any of those games. So that's what has me worried against Stanford, who does play defense well and is improving on offense. I would not take Stanford's offensive output against Oregon as a sign of everything is fine, but if they can do it against Oregon, they can do it against Cal. So I'm going to say 35-20. Stanford takes this one relatively comfortably. Christian McCaffrey has a good day.
7 p.m. A few more games here. Clemson, 22.5 point road favorites. Fresh off their loss, they are going to Wake Forest in the claw fence / claw defense, Dan. The S&P Plus projects that Clemson's going to win this game by 25 points. 25 points. Can Wake score more than 14 against Clemson?
No. Wake
I don't
is
think
particularly bad, as we saw last week, at finishing drives. I believe, and I was on Martin Rickman's show, his podcast, It Me College Football, this week with him and Robbie Calland, and we looked it up because we were talking about this game. Wake Forest is 3rd to last in terms of touchdown percentage in the red zone.
That sounds about right, yeah.
On something like 30 or 33% of their trips into the red zone, they score a touchdown, which is not all that good if the plan is to stay close to Clemson. I know Wake has improved, but with what they let up in the 4th quarter against Louisville, granted, Louisville, elite espionage program. Elite.
Sure.
I'm going to go Clemson here. With the playoff on the line, the fact that they're in the top 4, I think they're a Wake Forest. Let's go 27 points for Clemson. 27-point win for Clemson, so yeah, 37-10.
8 p.m. Ole Miss, -10 on the road at Vandy. Dan, I got a couple sounds for you. First and foremost,
It's a trap. It's a trap.
we've got the 2nd straight road game for Shea Patterson. Looked really good. Was the reason his team won last week against A&M. Feels like a potential letdown spot here because they had the big road win last week. Vandy plays defense. And, you know, I just want a reason to go Vandy home dog of the week.
The Yakos home dog of the week.
I'm going to go Vandy here plus the points. I am tempted to go outright. I think we see a letdown from Ole Miss.
I agree. Yeah, I think it's going to be tough. That defense is going to be tough for Shea Patterson. I'm going to take the points. Vandy has played SEC teams really tough. They don't give up a ton of points, and I think that's too many. So I think Vandy loses here by 4 or 5.
And finally, 10:30, USC -12 at UCLA. Granted, you throw the records out in any rivalry game, but I got to be honest with you here, Dan.
Yeah.
There's almost nothing I like about UCLA at this point. And the fact that USC is good enough to beat Washington, the only hesitation I have here, and the reason I'm not locking this up, is because I feel like there's letdown potential here. This game clearly means a lot to UCLA, but I feel like they're too bruised and battered to mount a serious charge. I could see them losing by 10. I feel like USC wins. I'm still going to say USC minus whatever here, but I am going to show some restraint and not go with my gut instinct and lock it up.
Lock up USC for me, please.
Lock of the week.
I think we've entered the phase of the season where a number of teams, the one I root for included, are very much looking forward to the end of the season beginning.
Yeah.
I think UCLA falls under that category. USC is still very much alive for the Pac-12 South, playing on a very high level, and there is letdown potential, as is obvious here. But I think USC is certainly talented and will be up for a game in the Rose Bowl in LA, so it's not really a full-on road game for the Trojans. They're sleeping in their own beds. They're not taking a plane to get this game. I'm going USC here, 31-14.
I feel like it's that time of the year where Jim Mora just casually downloaded the Career Builder app.
Like Jim Mora knows how to use that.
He's not sure if he's going to use it, but it was free. Not creating an account, but just voyeuristically viewing.
I think that happens every year. He just doesn't download it till later on in the season.
That's right. Okay, more bills here, Dan.
Okay.
Casper. Have you heard of Casper? Not the ghost.
I think so because we've done reads for it.
We've done reads.
Have we done
before.
reads for it?
Absolutely. Casper is
I know I loved it.
It's a sleep brand that created the perfect mattress.
Ooh.
It's sold directly to you. They eliminate the commission-driven inflated prices of normal mattress sales. It's an award-winning sleep surface that was developed in-house. It's got a sleek design. They deliver it in a small... How did they do that? That's what it says here in the script. I didn't make that up.
Okay.
But
how'd they do it?
let's just say a small magical size box.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to the mattress, Casper also offers an adaptive pillow and soft breathable sheet stand. High quality mattress here. We've actually
I like
had
all those things.
Absolutely. We've had people, no lie, who have emailed in, tweeted in, called in talking about the mattress. People have bought mattresses from Casper through our offer code. And it's a good deal because it's a high quality mattress. They spent thousands of hours developing this thing. It combines a springy latex and supportive memory foam type of setup for a sleep surface that has the right amount of sink, the right amount of bounce. It's breathable, which helps keep you cool and regulate your temperature throughout the night. The big thing here, though, is that it's cheaper. It's cheaper and you're not sacrificing any quality. Actually, it's better quality, if I'm being honest.
Oh, yeah.
Mattresses, they can cost well over, $1,500?
Yeah, you can spend a pretty penny on a quality mattress.
Casper, it's only going to cost you $500 for a twin size mattress, $750 for a full, $850 for a queen, $950 for a king. Mm-hmm. That's a significant savings. And when you factor in the convenience of having it delivered to you, the convenience of it being risk-free, that's a pretty good deal. If you don't love it, they'll pick it up, they'll refund you everything. They understand the importance of sleeping on a mattress before you fully commit. That's what you get with Casper here. So it's an obsessively engineered mattress at a shockingly fair price. You got all the cool stuff, the springy latex, the supportive memory foam. It's an award-winning sleep surface. Time Magazine named it one of the best inventions of 2015, and now free shipping and returns to the entire United States and all of Canada. So
it sounds like a wonderful deal to me.
Try it 100 nights risk-free in your own home. If you don't love it, they'll pick it up and refund you everything. Made right here in the good old US of A. Right now, for our listeners, if you go to casper.com/verbal, use the offer code verbal, $50 towards any mattress purchase, Dan.
God, that sounds like a wonderful deal.
$50 towards any mattress purchase. Terms and conditions do apply.
It's Ryan. Ryan Nanny and Martin Rickman just walked in here.
Ho!
This is very exciting. We were just going to start the game show.
Okay.
Martin, do you want to play this game show? Okay. You got to come in here. I'm going to give Martin Rickman from Up Rock Sports and the It Me College Football Podcast, because Martin Rickman, Ty, is perfectly capable of dominating you.
Oh, wow.
In this game.
So wait, they're really there?
No. See, Martin, say hi.
I'm really here.
Oh, what's up, man?
In the flesh.
Special guest.
Whoa.
Okay. So, the name of this game show is, Ty. Are you still with me?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
I'm transfixed.
So I don't have a full... Okay, I have my phone that has the theme song to the game show. That we're just stealing music at this point, Ty.
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
Right. It's a brave new world, Dan. We can do whatever we want.
Okay, I don't think it's going to play. I have the password theme song, but it's not loading. So the name of this game show... I'm just making that up.
Yeah. That was weird.
The name of this game show, I did not come up with something catchy, but it explains the game show in the name. And the name of the game show is... Have these two ACC teams played this year? It's very difficult. Martin is former Wake Forest blogger Martin Rickman.
Yep.
And ACC expert.
He lives in North Carolina, ACC expert, #GoACC. He invented Go ACC.
Okay.
So Ty.
Thank you, Ryan.
Ty and Martin. Here we go. You have to answer within like a second and a half. So you will have no time to look this up. Ty, Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, have these two ACC teams played? Boston College, Georgia Tech.
No.
They played the opening week in Ireland.
Oh, that was Ireland.
That's right.
Yeah, that doesn't count. It wasn't a real game.
Yeah.
So you guys are each 0 for 1.
We're talking made in the USA here, Dan.
I was in Wisconsin that week.
Here we go. Next game. Got to give it to me in a second and a half. Duke, Miami.
No.
They have not played. Very good. Very good. Next game. Pitt, Virginia.
Yes.
That they did play. That is correct. Virginia Tech, North Carolina State.
No.
No.
That is correct. They have not played. Syracuse, Wake Forest.
Yes.
Yes.
You're both correct. Well done. Pitt, North Carolina State.
No.
Yes.
The answer is no.
Oh.
And we got two more. Tie. Here we go.
Yeah.
Florida State, Georgia Tech.
No.
Yes.
No.
Oh, no.
The answer is no.
I
They're
lost.
Have these two ACC
This is
teams
worth
played?
5 points.
This is worth the big money. Duke, Virginia.
No.
Yes.
Ty, the answer is yes. Duke went and lost to Virginia the
That's
week
right.
after they beat Notre Dame.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Thank you both for playing.
I lost. Congratulations, Ty.
Congratulations. Thank you.
It's a very difficult game. Martin, how are you doing?
I'm great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What brings you to the big city?
You know,
Work.
the bright lights.
The bright lights. Sure.
I'm
What's
here to eat pizza, perhaps?
what's for dinner? I was just going to ask.
I don't know.
Let me ask Martin a question.
Yeah.
What was it like podcasting with Dan? Did you enjoy that experience?
I did. I always enjoy talking
Yes.
to Dan.
Did you ask him the question about tomatoes that I told you on
I did.
Twitter?
We had a nice conversation about tomatoes. We fell on different places. Robbie is more on Dan's side
Yep.
of things with tomatoes, but
Mhm.
I have come around. I actually enjoy tomatoes, but
See, I do
actually,
too.
I don't like slippery ones. That's where we.
This is one of the points of contention that Dan. We've been doing this thing for 9 years now, or
Right.
nine full seasons now after this year. The tomatoes thing is something that still divides us as men.
I think it always will.
Yeah, I'm not seeing this changing anytime soon. I think I'm sort of set in my ways. But again, Ty, our Venn diagram of taste in life overlaps with tomato products.
Yeah.
Just not raw tomatoes.
No,
So,
that's fair. That's fair to say.
we've
yeah.
made peace with that.
As
Yeah.
a country, I think that's something we can all strive for.
Sure.
Overlap for tomato products.
Tomato products. Listen, we have to find the unity where we can,
We can.
and that's where it is.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
there we go. You guys did a great job. I thought you guys were going to do worse. Ryan arguably did worse at have these two ACC teams played yet. Ryan does claim that he does have a child. I have met this child, so it is true, but she sleeps a lot.
Yeah.
So, hey,
Okay.
thanks for playing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Martin, I'm going to say, if you haven't been to a place, I don't know if you're going to dinner with Ryan, but if you guys are figuring out dinner, I'm going to suggest a place called Uncle Boone's.
Okay.
It is outstanding Thai food.
Okay.
Ty, Ryan has a very good question. Because it is your name, it is literally your name, how many different Thai food dishes can you name?
Oh gosh.
Oh gosh, is
I mean,
Start.
I can go pad Thai and pad siu.
Pad Thai and Pad See-Ew.
Um,
Keep rolling.
can I go curry? Does that count?
Curry just means sauce. You're going to have to name a dish, a type of curry.
They make the green sauce. I know that.
Nope.
The green,
That's just a color.
the green, the green sauce.
So there's like tom yum soup. We're talking about
I don't
Penang,
know.
which is, I believe, the
I live in
red curry.
Allentown, Dan.
Masaman is your golden curry.
Spicy
Pad
shrimp. Does
Kimao?
that count?
Spicy curry Thai. I'm going to take you to Uncle Boone's. Maybe Piesman.
I like Thai food.
Okay. I'm gonna rock your world.
All right.
All right, he says.
Can we end this? Can we end this segment, please?
Are you going to be up here, Martin, for the Piesman Trophy?
TBD.
TBD. Okay, so we will see.
Last year, did I ever tell you what happened last year?
I knew that something happened.
I booked
Ryan
a
may-
flight thinking that the Piesman ceremony was the day before it actually was. So I
no.
wouldn't have been able to even be there. And then I had something the next day that I had to go to.
Did you come to New York for
No,
the day
I
before?
skipped that
wow.
flight. I thought about it, having
That's-
my own Piesman ceremony by myself.
A private Martin Rickman Piesman ceremony would have been a story for the kids.
That's like Kobayashi during the hot dog contest.
That's
Oh,
true.
yes.
The separate Piesman, the indie Piesman.
Yeah. All
They
right.
always say competition helps to make everyone
That's
better.
true.
So
That's right.
having a second pie trophy would be big.
All right. Any final words? Because you're being murdered.
Just
Uh,
thankful
okay.
to have the opportunity to have been here.
That's
And
great.
I apologize to all my ACC fans for
You did
neglecting
pretty
my
well.
duties. Yeah, but I shouldn't have lost.
Listen,
That's because I'm doing so much basketball stuff now.
literally everybody listening and they can tweet us if they want, that is not a fan of an ACC team. Probably got 2 out of 8
I should have
max.
known that Pitt and NC State didn't play. I should have known that.
Yeah.
That was a mistake.
Probably. But you were under the pressure, under the bright lights, who's to
hurts.
say what happens? All right, Martin Rickman.
Thank you,
Thank
Dan.
you very much.
Appreciate it. Bye, Ty.
It's like the old Merv Griffin set over there,
It's
Dan.
true. Look who it is.
People just walking in off the street.
We do need theme music for these.
Yeah, we do. We should
All right.
should get some sort of stat. But man, that was a delightful surprise.
That was
Thank
cool.
You for bringing him down here, Ryan.
Thank you for doing that. By the way, that's always a challenge to figure out if these teams played each other.
It's a difficult game.
That's all I got, Dan. Do we got anything else?
Yeah, I do have a quick request, Ty.
Please.
If you could indulge me here, could you drop that fleshy, plunging, thrashing, guttural drum and fife?
Oh, yeah. Here we go. This week, high noon, the nooner is Fordham at Bucknell, Dan. Fordham being the one true team
Yep.
of your now native city.
And state. New York's
Yeah.
one true team.
What do you got?
I'm going Fordham here. Fordham big.
Yeah, Fordham big. Bucknell's pretty terrible.
Yeah, they're bad.
12:30, we've got a rivalry game, Dan.
What do you got to do?
A few years ago, I was up at this game in Yankee Stadium. Got Lehigh at Lafayette. I'm told it's called Lafayette. People making fun of me for calling it Lafayette. That's how I talk.
I honestly don't know how my dad pronounces it, because if he pronounces it a certain way, even if it's wrong, I think that's fine.
Next show, we're going to call him up randomly and see how he says it.
Yeah.
Lehigh at Lafayette. I'm going Lehigh here.
Ty, we'll gather by the twilight's glow in front of the old Pardee. In all the world, no other scene so fair, so dear to me. Oh, Lafayette, oh, Lafayette.
Oh, God.
Go Leps.
And 1 p.m., Georgetown at Colgate, Dan. I'm going to go Colgate here. Big home spot for them. Have they given out the bobbleheads yet? Do we know?
They have. I think we missed that window.
Damn.
The Gordy Fickbaum?
Bucksbaum. Yeah.
Buck, whatever. Yeah. I'm going to go the Gators here as well. Georgetown just away from multi-sport field, away from that Hornet's Nest. I just don't trust them.
All right. Fun show here. We did our best with college football week 12. Not a ton of marquee action, but as I said at the top, these are typically the weeks to get you. You know,
Yeah.
we don't know what the future has
Baby
in store
incredible.
for us here, but baby incredible, yeah.
By the way, just a belated thank you for not bringing up Oregon, Utah.
Yeah.
Just a belated gracias there. Memphis, Cincinnati probably won't be super interesting Friday night. UTSA, sneaky. I'm just going to say it right now. Utsa. Texas A&M. A little bit Utsa sneakiness could be in the works. A lot of SEC teams, it's the SoCon week, whatever. Iowa, Illinois, the March to 6 is not happening for the Illini this year. Maryland, technically still bowl eligible and can be a bowl team with a win over Nebraska. They can go to 6-5. You never know. They have a couple Big Ten wins. You didn't mention Wisconsin, Purdue. Wisconsin should roll, though it's on the road, and who knows? Purdue has been feisty a couple times. Pittsburgh, Duke. I assume it might be a fun basketball matchup, but hey, watch the game for Daniel Jones and James Conner and all sorts of fun. Florida State, Syracuse is not doing all that much for me. Wyoming, San Diego State tie.
No.
3:30 p.m. And we've had this a few weeks this season already, where there's that sneaky CBS Sports Network game. I'm going to say it right now. CBS Sports Network is the new Joe Tess.
Okay.
It's going to get weird at the end of this game. Wyoming, San Diego State unbeaten in the Mountain West. Wyoming with a heartbreaking triple overtime loss last week to UNLV. Missouri, Tennessee. I mean, SEC East is technically on the line here. I'm rooting for everybody to be 4-4 in the SEC East. That would be wonderful. Texas, Kansas doesn't do all that much for me. Northwestern, Minnesota. Northwestern can become bowl eligible. Bowl eligibility on the line against Mitch Leidner. I'm going through this as quickly as I can, Ty. I'm going through as quickly as I can.
This is way more than I bargained for, Dan.
I know, but I saw a great stat about Mitch Leidner today, Ty, and I got to tell you, he's thrown 5 touchdown passes this year, and 4 came against an FCS team.
Okay.
I saw that wonderful stat earlier. I don't think there are any other games that are really worth talking about at this point. Penn State, Rutgers, I imagine you don't have many strong thoughts.
No.
So with that, I'd like to thank Lucas Hansen, but to his friends, he's Panther, apparently, on Facebook.
The Panther. That's good.
Carrie Mitchell, and to her friends, she is also Carrie. Courtney Odens Peter, Patty Estes, Bill Laviolette, good last name, Andre Tuafek, another good last name, Phyllis Gibson, Eric Harbison, Drew Sweeney, Mama H, because I just like to throw her in the mix every so often.
Yep.
Sarah Hall Newport, and Ty, I hope you have the sound ready because I'd like to thank Derek Michael
Payne. That's it.
Yeah, Derek Michael Payne, real name.
It's a
and of
great
course,
name.
Ty, we ride. Who do we ride with?
We ride.
We ride.
We ride.
With Brandon McKissick.
Brandon McKissick, yes.
Yeah, that's everything I have now, Ty.
All right. Well, thank you to our special guest here on the Merv Griffin set, Martin Rickman from Up Rocks and the It Me College Football Podcast. Go check him out. I know you were on. I have yet to listen, but I will, I promise. We appreciate everyone who continues to support and download and contribute to the show. Please do call in 408-VERBAL-1 this weekend. Let us know what you see and what's on your mind. We'll try to mix up your reverbs and put them together on our Sunday show. We are also on Twitter and Facebook and Snapchat and Instagram. All those places. Do give us a holler. Keep sending us your snaps. We'll do our best to respond in kind if we can. And by all means, tell all your friends to subscribe at itunes.com/solidverbal or just check us out at solidverbal.com or spnation.com.
Makes a difference. Throwing those iTunes reviews does make a difference. We're eternally grateful when we see those.
Absolutely. For that guy over there, Dan Rubenstein, for myself, Ty Hildebrand, thanks again for tuning into the show, for continuing to support us. We are now effectively in the home stretch. Enjoy your weekend. Catch you all in a few days. In the meantime, stay solid.
Peace.